Game 7, Eastern Conference Finals. You should have shut the game off after the first quarter. Good game in the first quarter. 21-19. Indiana lead. And then the rest of the game happened. I was so excited. I get out of work early. I'm able to watch the whole second half. And I don't even know, but when I get home and pop it on, Miami's already up like 15 points. I'm like, awesome. Awesome.
I was hoping they'd get it to within 10 by the fourth quarter, have a chance. Never came about. It was the beatdown nobody wanted to see. Wade played a lot better. Bosch still missed a bunch of shots, but he played slightly better.
Yeah, rebounds. The 6'11" man finally got himself some rebounds.
I agree with Pixel. The Spurs are going to win the finals, but I got them in 6, not 5. But I agree with the winner. I don't know. I was I don't know. I think I was more disappointed in the Pacers than I was surprised by the Heat. I was more disappointed in the way Paul George shot, but they had LeBron on him all night. We all know when LeBron played on him, he shot a lot worse than when Wade played on him. Hibbert got in major foul trouble last night. He had 3 fouls in the first half. He was fouled out pretty early.
But you know what?
It just, I don't know. I was more disappointed in the way Indiana played than I was happy about the way things went. You know what I mean? Or surprised by Wade and Bosch's play. I was more disappointed in the way Indiana played.
You know, John throws in the word fixed. I don't want to say that much, but I will say it's ironic that in the game Miami needed to win, all of a sudden things Roy Hibbert did all series long turn into fouls that weren't fouls.
No.
But
see, I watched it, and there were things he did, like he had a foul on Wade when Wade came to the basket. The difference between the way he defended that play and the way he defended LeBron the other night, the way he defended LeBron is he went straight up in the air. With Wade, he went straight up, but then his one arm came down and the other hand came and touched his arm. If he keeps both his hands and both his arms straight up, it's no foul. That's the difference. He played a little bit differently last night. I'm not going to sit here and say that those weren't fouls. To me, I just look at it, and the things that I saw him doing in previous games, they weren't doing. Plus, the other thing that Indiana got away from, and I blame Frank Vogel for this, Roy Hibbert was perfect in the first half for field goals, but he only took 2. He was 2 for 2 for 4 points. He's a guy who needs probably about 20 shots a game, 25 shots a game.
Not even shots. You just got to get him the ball.
Yeah. 2 baskets in the first half. That is it. And it's not like he was 2 for 10. He was 2 for 2. But he only got 2 opportunities. That was something they did all series long, is they fed Hibbert the ball and they played inside out. Last night they tried to play outside in. They tried to play Miami's game and they got beat at it. Bottom line.
They did. And I agree with you. They weren't getting the ball to Hibbert. When Hibbert got the ball, he was getting double-teamed, and they were making him rush any decisions he was making, which hurts. You have the fact, I mean, you outscore Miami 21-19 in the first quarter, and then was outscored 80-55 for the rest of the game. This was a game where Indiana's offense went cold when it couldn't afford to get cold, and their defense was not good enough to keep them in it. You give up 6 offensive rebounds to the Dwayne Wade, a guy that's struggling to jump off the floor, a guy that's struggling to pretty much do everything in this series. You give up 6 offensive rebounds to him. 9 rebounds total for Wade. 8 rebounds for LeBron. 8 rebounds for Bosch. For the first time in the entire series, Miami out-rebounds Indiana, and it turns into a whomping. Everybody pretty much expected Miami to win this series. It was nice that it went 7. It was disappointing that the 7th game went the way it went. But I think, like I put in the chat room, Miami put the pressure on Indiana, that championship mentality of we know what we got to do to get there. And Indiana wasn't ready for it. They didn't. This team is young. They don't know how to get there. This is a learning process. We watched this with Oklahoma City over the past couple of years, where they had to lose to LA and they had to lose to this team. Indiana's learning, and this is an experience that they had to go through.
I disagree slightly. They could see. I disagree mainly for the fact that I don't think it was their inexperience from being in this situation that cost them this game. I think it was them getting away from their style of ball. And I'm not blaming that on them not being in this position. No matter what position you're in, no matter what game you play, whether it's the first game of the year or whether it's Game 7 of the NBA Finals, you play your style of ball. You play your basketball. They did not do that last night. That's the reason they lost. I don't think it wasn't because they weren't ready for this situation or LeBron was too much to handle or Bosch ended up deciding to have an okay rebounding night. I blame them on getting away from their game plan. That's what I blame it on. I don't blame that on inexperience. Now, do you want to say they could still grow and learn from this? Sure. But I'm not blaming this loss on the inexperience.
Oh, I won't blame. I don't blame the loss on inexperience, but I do contribute inexperience as a factor in them losing.
You see, I think the main thing they needed last night, and it came back to bite me because I said it yesterday that I was like, oh, well, look at how well this team's playing without Danny Granger. And that you could pretty much forget Granger or trade him or whatever. I think you mentioned about the fact about maybe trading him this year. I look at it now and I'm like, well, the one thing they were missing last night with LeBron guarding, what's his name, Paul George, with Hibbert in foul trouble, they needed somebody who could score and keep pace with the Heat, keep them close, and they didn't have that scorer last night, and that's where Granger could have really helped them, because LeBron can't guard Granger and Paul George at the same time. And Paul George lit it up this series with Wade on him. And you're telling me in Game 7 they probably wouldn't have put LeBron on Granger? They probably would have. Or if they put him on George, then Granger would have went off. They lack that secondary scorer last night to keep him in the game, especially when Hibbert got in foul trouble. That's what I blame the loss on more than anything else. That, and I think Frank Vogel really screwed up by not sticking to the game plan and playing outside in.
You mean inside out?
Or inside out, yeah. That's it.
Look, I will say one thing. I think there are numerous reasons Indiana lost, and I think it's fair to say that considering when you lose by a couple points, it's easy to point your finger at a specific moment. When you get blown out by almost 30, there's a lot of different things that cost you to lose this game. A lot. There's no other way to look at it. A secondary scorer, a lack of experience, getting out rebounded, not showing up as well defensively.
I mean, Hibbert was 7 of 11. They just didn't feed him enough. They didn't give him the ball. He was, 5 for 9 in the second half, 2 for 2 in the first half? 4 of 5 from the free throw line for a guy that's 7'1". That's pretty good from the free throw line, dude.
That is.
And he's been good, pretty good all series long from the line. 8 boards. They said 18 points in only 38 minutes. He would have played over 40 easy if he wasn't in foul trouble.
Look, they got out. They had 15 turnovers in the first half, 21 total for the game, compared to Miami's 11 total turnovers. That's a huge factor as well.
They had 8 or 9 in the first quarter.
The 15 turnovers in the first half, to me, was a sign of the nerves. They were making passes that they didn't need to make. Guys were dribbling the ball off their own knee. They were losing it going up for layups and letting it get out of bounds.
But But the thing is,
They
is
had
it was,
numerous factors that these turnovers weren't all just forced by
even
Miami.
with 9 turnovers in the first quarter, which is the quarter where they had the most turnovers, they were still they were up, 2 points?
21 to 19.
21 to 19 with 9 turnovers. I'm not necessarily blaming the 9 turnovers.
You end the first half with 15 turnovers. You're down by 15 points. It makes a lot of sense in my book. I mean, it's not. There's not a lot of or not 15 points. What is it? They were down. Let's see. They scored
Yeah, it was
37.
almost 15.
Oh yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, they were down by 14, 15 points going into half. 15 turnovers has a huge factor to do with that. Huge. Whether
After the first 9 turnovers, they were still up 2 points.
Okay, so they stopped Miami from scoring points off of the first 9 turnovers, but 15 turnovers leads Miami to shooting how many extra shots over them in the first half? It's not like they just miss and Miami goes and gets the ball and then gets like 10 offensive rebounds and keeps out shooting them. No, the turnovers led to more shot opportunities for Miami.
Listen, I said on the car right now, I'll say it again now. I think the biggest difference in last night's game was the way Wade played. 7 to 16, 7 to 7 from the free throw line, 9 rebounds. He actually led the team in rebounds. An assist, a steal, a block. Filled up the stat line.
Well, that and the fact, I mean, I'm also looking at this. I mean, an 18-shot differential in free throws. A 7-shot differential in field goals attempted. I mean, Miami just had the ball more in general.
Part of those free throws, though, just a tiny part, was because they were at home. You could feel the home energy there. Plus, with Hibbert out, they were driving to the lane a lot more. And that's actually what got Hibbert in foul trouble to begin with. The fact that they were driving the lane and he just couldn't keep his arms straight like he did in most of the other games this series. I'm not blaming the officials, though. We heard that one little comment on the ride down. I'm not blaming the officials for last night's game. I think they did a good job.
Bottom line is I don't like blaming officials for any game. Guys go out there and play official. You can blame them if you want to blame them, but you're really just wasting your time.
Did you